everyone. Like I would always tell you, your health is wealth. Let's make sure we try to exercise regularly, stay hydrated, and eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. And you're welcome to another edition of Health Corner, where we give you tips on how to make daily healthy choices in your daily lives. And a special thanks to the executive producer in person of Dikin Michael Adeboye Hashaolu, and to every Ezinne members, and to the man behind the console, Big Balo. And I still remain myself, Olamide Arubola, and with me here is...
All right, thank you for joining us once again on your favorite program, Health Corner. Adenipekun Afolabi
the
is
prince,
my name, the prince on
the
the show.
show.
Once again, you are welcome to your favorite program, Health Corner, on Esteem Radio Vision.
And so we've received a lot of calls. I think last week we spoke about malaria, but we received lots of calls to like explain further on malaria. So that's why we are bringing it back, so that our nurse, who is a professional nurse, she has been in this field for so long, to like enlighten us and to shed more light to what malaria is.
You know, somebody called. He said he has been treated malaria for like 3 weeks now.
Wow.
But he still experienced that malaria, that he need more information about it. I said, wow, is this possible? But thank God that we have a health practitioner who is going to give justice response to all our questions for today. It is no any other person than Nurse Nwoko Ezinne Mary Constance.
You're welcome here, ma.
Thank you, Mr. Afolabi. Thank you, Miss. Remind me your name again.
Olaamy.
Olamide.
Yes,
Olamide.
so
Yes.
for those that are just joining us, we wanted to like explain further on what malaria is and why it remains a significant public health problem in the world.
All right. So, like we said before, malaria can be defined as a life-threatening disease. It is caused by a plasmodium parasite, and it can be transmitted through the bite of a female Anopheles mosquito. So it is a major health challenge because it can be transmitted through widespread in tropical regions, and it can breed easily in communities where there is no adequate health care, there's no environmental sanitation, there is poor housing or limited access to treatment, and all this can cause increase in transmission. So malaria, in a nutshell, is a life-threatening disease because of its prevalence and morbidity and mortality in Africa, especially. So it is caused by a plasmodium parasite, which you can get through the bite of a female Anopheles mosquito. So once a female Anopheles mosquito bites you, you are sure to get the plasmodium parasite, which causes malaria. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that, ma'am.
Okay, looking at the malaria, is malaria preventable and treatable?
Yes, malaria is preventable and treatable. Children under the age of malaria is treatable and preventable. One, first of all, you talk about. Sorry, I'm getting this calls from my phone.
Okay.
We are okay. With you. Sorry. Malaria is treatable.
Hello, Nurse Nwoko. Oh, I think we.
Preventable.
Brighter, healthier life, starting one small step at a time. Walk into your evening with a softer mind. Leave the noise behind you, let your calm unwind.
Okay, you can hear me now.
Yes,
a call was coming in. Okay, your question once again.
The question is, you know, we know that malaria is preventable and treatable, yet still deadly. And what are the factors contribute to its continued high burden, especially among the children under 5 and the pregnant women?
Okay, the reason is because of their immunity. The burden is more on children and pregnant women because of their immunity. As a child,
Okay.
most of your organs
From
are
the meals that you choose to the sleep you defend, from the peace that you chase to the strength you extend. Health corner, feel the healing in every line. A brighter, healthier life, starting one small step at a time. Health corner, only don't wind it free. Health corner, where your best self starts to be.
Hello,
Hello.
can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes,
we
I
can
think
hear
we
you.
can hear
Hello, can
you.
you hear me
Yes, ma'am.
now? Okay. Okay, so I said that the reason is because of their immunity. They have a very weak immunity. Children under 5 and pregnant women, their immunities are very weak because one, pregnancy reduces immunity of a woman, while children under 5 years of age are not well, their organs and their immune system are not yet well developed. So they are vulnerable to the effects of this malaria, and the severity of malaria in their lives is more, such that they are the group that generally die from malaria and its complications. So it is actually the pregnant women and the children under the age of 5 years that are affected most whenever there is whenever there is death as a result of malaria and its causes. So, and environmental factors, there are a lot of environmental factors that increases the risk of this uh, malaria in children and pregnant women, such as stagnant water and poor waste management, as well as mosquito bites. So it is actually the immunity, the weak immunity, that is the major problem why it affects more of under 5 children and pregnant mothers. Thank you.
Okay. You talked about the uh having weaker immunity.
Immunity.
Now, how can
Hmm.
someone who is already aware that okay his or her immunity is weak, how can someone boost
Immunity.
that immunity you talked about?
Okay, okay. You can boost your immunity by eating very well, eating balanced diet. That is why children, we encourage mothers that they take good care of their children, their underage children. You give them one egg at least every day. Make sure they are eating balanced diet. By so doing, you are boosting their immunity. Try to give them vitamin C to take care of all their to help boost their immunity. Vitamin C they can take it on daily basis. Then for pregnant women, also the same thing applies to them. They can eat balanced diet, fruits and vegetables, more of protein, less carbohydrates, less fat, more protein. By so doing, they are boosting their immunity. So these are the things they can do, and take their antenatal drugs, their fesolate, B complex, or some of them do what's it called? Well woman. They can do well woman. Is a combination of all these routine drugs for those that have the money. So by eating very well, rehydrating yourself very well, you can boost your immunity by so doing. Thank you.
All right, ma. Thank you for that, ma. Ma, is it true that genotype also affects having malaria most of the times?
Yes, genotype has an effect. For people with AA genotype, they are always susceptible to malaria. It has been observed that they are always susceptible to malaria. Then the people with sickle, the sickle shaped hemoglobin, which is the sickle cell itself, they are not always they have a kind of a resistance to malaria parasite. So it has always been a that's why you see some people, they will tell you they're always having malaria, especially the AA genotype, they're always having malaria. uh, it has been associated to, it has been linked to that, that studies have shown that people with AA are always susceptible to malaria parasite disease. So, but those with sickle cell itself, or those with that are carriers, they are less prone to having malaria parasite disease.
Okay, with this, I need a clarification, and I know some people out there may want to ask the same question that I wanted to ask now. You said maybe based on the genotype, either AA, AS, AC, SS. Now, with the research showing that okay, the AA are the one of the best genotype, but now you are now saying that AA is prone to malaria. Why is it like that? We need clarification. You as a health practitioner.
Well, it's just an observation. In fact that most people that always come down with malaria, it has been observed through studies done that it is affecting mostly the people with AA genotype. Already in sickle cell, the cell is not well formed already. So when you talk about in the development of a red malaria parasite, when it gets to the red blood cells, it tends to rupture them because one, the red blood cells, they are very well formed, spherical in shape. So the red blood cells there, they are well formed, and when the parasite gets to them, it ruptures them easily. But in sickle cell, the red blood cell is in sickle shape. So it will be difficult for the parasite, the Plasmodium parasite, the gametocytes to rupture the cell that is already sickled in shape. So it makes it a little bit difficult. I think that's the reason behind AA being more susceptible to malaria parasite, because they come down with, because once those red blood cells are being ruptured, that is when you see those signs and symptoms of chills, fever, and all the rest of them. So you find it more in those with AA genotype than those with sickle cell genotype. That's the reason.
All right, ma'am.
Okay. Before we proceed on today's episode of our program Health Corner, yesterday we made a promise that on today's program, the first five callers will win themselves free medication. And now I'm glad to announce to you that the studio line is open for you to call in right now for you to ask your question, and you are already win yourself free medication. Okay, the studio line to call is 0916 634 9956. 0916 634 9956. Oh, somebody said I'm too fast. Okay, let me call it slowly. 0916 634 9956. You can copy the studio line on the screen right now. Okay. Olamide, let me.
Okay. So what organisms causes malaria, and how many species of Plasmodium commonly infect humans?
All right. Malaria is actually caused by what we call the Plasmodium parasite. And we have up to like five. The other time we talked about some species of them, but today we are going to look at this elaborately on up to like five species of them. So this Plasmodium parasite has five species. The first one is Plasmodium falciparum, which is the most dangerous one. We have Plasmodium vivax. We have Plasmodium malariae. We have Plasmodium ovale, and we also have Plasmodium nolwensi.
Okay. We want you to explain, expatiate more on it so that a layman like us will be able to understand it.
Better.
Because that terminology, this Plasmodium parasite, I want you to come down to our own level.
Yes.
Okay, right. When I say Plasmodium is a simple way of saying malaria parasite. Okay, so those other organisms, those other like when I say Plasmodium falciparum is the name of a particular organism of a brand of a species of malaria parasite. that affects a human. So the name doesn't change. It's just a plasmodium I can change. I can't change the name. I can't change the name to another thing. Then the vivas, the malare, the ovale, the nolowinsi, all those things are species. So the plasmodium attached to them there is actually a simple way. Another way you can make mention of it is malaria, vivas, malaria, falciparum, malaria, ovale, and malaria nolowinsi. So that is it.
Okay, all right. Now, we want you to looking at the mode of transmission of the malaria that we are talking about now. Can you describe the primary way malaria is transmitted to humans?
All right. Like I said before, it is actually gotten through the bite of a female Anopheles mosquito. That's what we call the sporozoans. When it comes to feed on the bloodstream of a human being, mosquitoes they feed on the blood of a human being. So in the process of trying to feed on the human being, they ingest what they call the sporozoids. So when the mosquito bites, they transmit these sporozoans, and these sporozoans gets to the body, to the blood, and they can cause when they get to the blood, they try to multiply in the bloodstream. Some of them goes to the liver, some of them goes to the bloodstream and rupture and start causing all the symptoms you will see during malaria parasite infection. So the primary mode of transmission is actually through the female Anopheles mosquito, which injects its sporozoans into the human bloodstream. And when this sporozoan gets into the human bloodstream, that is when it starts showing signs and symptoms of malaria. Thank you.
All right, ma. Thank you for that, ma. So aside from mosquito bites, what are the less common routes through which malaria can be transmitted?
All right. There are other means, like when a woman is pregnant and she has malaria, she can transmit it to her child because they are sharing the same blood. Then when someone lacks blood and they want to transfuse that person, if you go and get the blood from someone that already has malaria, automatically you are going to give that person that is getting the blood malaria. Then when they are doing organ transplant, something like kidney transplant, heart transplant, and all the rest of them, those things contain blood already. If the blood in them has malaria parasites in them, automatically the person getting those organs will have malaria automatically. Thank you.
All right, ma. So how common is congenital malaria in Nigeria? How common is it, ma?
Well, it is not very common, but it can occur during pregnancy if malaria in pregnancy. Malaria in pregnancy is a very risky thing. So when it happens in a pregnant woman and it is poorly managed, definitely the child will come down with malaria. That is when you call it congenital malaria. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that beautiful response. And could you walk us through what happens to malaria parasites inside the mosquito?
All right. When a mosquito feeds on somebody that is infected, so it releases its gametocytes. So these gametocytes is just like a gamete, just like when they talk about gametocytes, they talk about the sex organs. So those gametocytes are being released. Then these gametocytes that develop into sporozoids. So this sporozoid is actually what goes to the, because the mosquito has what we call the proboscis, which is used to puncture the skin of a human being when he wants to suck the blood. So when these gametocytes turn to sporozoids, they migrate to the salivary gland of the mosquito. And when the mosquito insects bites a human being, it is this salivary glands, because it is this sporozoid that is in the salivary gland that will not be injected into the human body. And once it gets into the human body, it passes through a stage whereby it multiplies silently in the liver. First of all, the next place it goes is in the blood. Then some of them, it will now start causing symptoms such as fever, chills, and all the rest of them. So once from the gametocytes, it gets to sporozoites. From sporozoites, it gets into the saliva of the mosquito. Then when the mosquito bites an individual, the person that it got the bite will become infected with malaria parasite.
Okay. Now I want you to talk about this. Once the parasite enters a human body, what stage does it pass through?
Okay, the first stage is the liver stage. In the liver, it will start multiplying. It will start multiplying. Then the next stage is the blood stage. In the blood stage, it infect the red blood cell, just like we talked before, and it will cause symptoms. What actually causes the symptoms is that when it gets to the red blood cell, it bursts them. When it bursts the red blood cells, that is when you see chills and fever and all those symptoms. So, and finally, it develops into gametocytes. So it now continues the transmission. Just like I said before, when you talk about gametes, even in adults, if you remember your biology very well, when we talk about gametes, you're talking about the sex organs, the sex cells, the sex cells. So when from that sporozoan stage, when they are in the blood, they develop into gametocytes again and continue the cycle. So when they bite someone, they go from gametocytes into sporozoites. From sporozoites, they go back to gametocytes and continue the cycle again, round and round, depending on when they bite someone. But when they bite as a sporozoite, that is when they infect someone and causes all the symptoms that you see. So, and from the sporozoites, it goes back again to the gametocytes, which continues the cycle from one point to another.
All right, ma. Thank you so much for that, ma. So, at what point in the parasite life cycle do the people that have malaria start seeing their symptoms?
All right, it's at this blood stage, just like I said, when the red blood cells rupture. When they rupture, you will see things like fever, chills, and anemia, So it is at the blood stage. When it is at the liver stage, it may not really show symptoms, but when it is at the blood stage, it will cause the red blood cells to burst. And that bursting is what causes the fever and the chills you notice during a malaria attack. Thank you.
Okay, now let's look at the days. In which regions of what is malaria most prevalent today?
In the it's more common in sub-Saharan Africa. That is where you have the highest burden. Then you can also see it in Asia. You can also see it in Latin America and even Oceania. So, but the highest burden is in sub-Saharan Africa, which is the tropical region.
Okay. Now, how do factors such as rainfall, the temperature, and the breeding sites influence malaria transmission? Some people, when the mosquito is always common during the rainfall, and how do factors such as rainfall, temperature, and the breeding site influence malaria transmission?
All right, thank you. When rain falls, there's actually, because they survive in water, that is where their larva, their egg stay to mature. So when rain fall, it will not create breeding sites. It will create a site where they can multiply, where they can lay their eggs. Then when the temperature speeds up, they will not start developing as mosquitoes. Then when there is humid temperature, the mosquitoes, they all start surviving, and it will all boost their transmission, because that is where they survive more. So the rainfall creates a breeding site. Warm temperature makes causes them to speed up, in their development as mosquitoes. Then the humid temperature causes them to survive and boost transmission.
All right, ma'am. So, what are the typical symptoms of uncomplicated malaria should people look out for?
All right, you find out there are some, if we have an uncomplicated malaria, things you can see that you know that you are having malaria, like things like fever, chills, sweating, headache, weakness, nausea, vomiting, and sometimes you can have mild anemia because of the, already it's affecting the red blood cells, and the red blood cells are what is carrying the hemoglobin, and the hemoglobin are the ones that are related to the anemia that you are having. So the anemia may not be much, it will just be mild, because it's not there's no bleeding site, it's just some of the red blood cells are affected. So that is it. So you have things like fever, chills, sweating, headache, nausea. Nausea is the feeling of vomiting, then vomiting itself, and mild anemia.
All right, ma. Thank you, ma. So why is severe malaria
You're welcome.
particularly dangerous without immediate treatment?
Well, it is very dangerous because it can come with a lot of complications, life-threatening complications. You have things like severe seizure, you have severe anemia, you have confusion, you may have breathing difficulty, you can even have kidney failure, and sometimes the person can go into coma. We also, last time we talked about cerebral malaria. Cerebral malaria is also part of it, whereby the person start behaving abnormally because the malaria have entered the brain. So severe malaria can be life-threatening because it can cause things like severe anemia, seizure, difficulty in breathing, kidney failure, and sometimes it can lead to coma. Coma is a state of unconsciousness. Thank you.
Okay, I would like you to talk about the method that someone can use to detect malaria.
All right. There are different methods of detecting malaria, especially in the lab. We have what we call the microscopy. We have what we call the rapid diagnostic test. So the microscopy is the standard. So we call it the gold standard because it would identify the species of the malaria parasite, and also the density, how much they are at a time. So, but the rapid diagnostic test for malaria parasite detection, the only thing is that if it's in a place that you don't have laboratory facilities, it is very common. You can use it to detect malaria, and you can use it in rural area or places where you don't have resource to laboratory tests. So both rapid diagnostic test is very useful, fast and easy to use, but it does not have a detailed explanation like microscopy can provide. So if you have microscopy, fine. If you have RDTS, it's also okay. The most important thing is to detect the malaria. So if you are in a rural area where they cannot have access to microscopy, they can use the RDTS. So we have two forms, the RDTS and the microscopy. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ma. Look, I want us to talk about the treatment of malaria.
Okay.
You know, there are some people who believe in taking local herbs rather than getting to the hospital to have medication, or either medication or injection. Now, there are some people who always complain that if at all they have the medication and they have injection, the malaria will still remain persistent in their body until they take what is it called, the local herbs. Is it true? Is it true that medication and injection fail sometimes?
Well, there's one thing. There's a psychology to everything in life. There's a psychology to everything in life. Even when we give treatment, there's what we call placebo in medical terminology. That placebo, you find out that some people that they are in chronic pain, and we're giving them strong analgesic to stop the pain. So over time, they become dependent on that painkiller. So because we know that that painkiller will cause more harm when they continue to take it for a very long time, that's what we call placebo. Sometimes we just put water inside a syringe and tell the person we are going to give you that medication we are giving you, and we'll give it to that person. And the person will say, yes, thank you, nurse. This medication is very strong. That's the same medication I'm taking. They will not know that it is water that you gave them. So we're coming to this question of whether the injection treatment for malaria, the injections and the tablets fail the person or not. It is the psychology of that person that it is only herbs that will take care of that medication. Because when you talk about faith, faith is not only about believing in God, it's about believing in what you believe that takes care of you. It works either way. It works for you. Whatever you believe works for you. That is one thing in life. So whosoever that made up her mind that is the only herbs that will take care of his or her malaria, you find out that once he doesn't take that herb, no matter what you treat him, even when the malaria have gone, he will still be psychologically be thinking that he's still having malaria. But in a nutshell, there's nothing like taking herbs. You may have those components that can kill malaria parasites in herbs, but you don't know the quantity, you don't know the hygiene of that medication, of that ingredients in that herbs that you're taking. That is why it's very dangerous to be taking herbs anyhow. So what we encourage people to do is to go for medical treatment in hospitals and get their best medication that they can take. Because if you keep doing self-medication, it will get to a stage whereby you don't even know what you are taking in that herb, what it contains. Even if it contains what will kill malaria, you don't know the quantity it contains. You don't know how they prepare it, whether it will not cause more harm to you. And sometimes some of them come down with kidney problems because they are taking herbs. Kidney problems have been these days. The cases of people going for dialysis are much because of too much taking of herbs. Too much taking of herbs. You don't know how they are manufactured. So it is not true that you take anti-malaria and you still come down with malaria. It is the person's psychology that is telling the person that the malaria is still there. If it is mild malaria, if it's uncomplicated malaria, normal ACTs take care of them. If it is a severe malaria, IV artesunate takes care of it. So I don't see any reason why somebody will be saying that it doesn't take care of malaria. No, it's not proper. It is the person's psyche. The person is used to taking Agbo and all the rest of them. So he feels that not until he takes those things, he will not be fine, which is not true. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, ma. So, ma, as for the insecticide treated nets, the treated ones, what roles does it play?
All right. Insecticide treated mosquito helps to reduce bites at night. So, and like I said before, there's no other thing that causes malaria except mosquito bites. So if there's anything you can do to protect yourself from being bitten by a mosquito, so you have actually done yourself a whole lot of good. So when you get an insecticide treated mosquito, some of them kills the mosquito, so they will not bite you. Unlike untreated mosquito nets. Untreated mosquito net will only ward off the mosquito from biting you. But if there's any way your leg comes closer to the net, they might penetrate the net and bite you. But if in case of mosquito treated net, some of them repel the mosquito, some of them kill the mosquito so that it do not bite you. Thank you.
Okay, I want to ask this question. What personal protection measure can individual take to prevent mosquito and to prevent malaria?
All right. Like I said, use of mosquito net is one of them. Secondly, keeping your environment clean. Thirdly, making sure there are no stagnant water around you. Fourthly, you can use repellents. There are some creams. Some individual can use. You can rub it on your body and it will repel mosquito. Then you can wear long sleeve. Make sure that either trouser and long sleeve clothes so that they will not bite you. Then also, you find out that there is this saying that when you wear dark clothes, it attracts mosquitoes. So you can protect yourself from wearing dark clothes so that you don't attract more mosquitoes, especially at night. Then you can avoid outdoor exposure at peak mosquito hours. When you find out getting towards the evening, like around this time when the mosquitoes are coming inside the room. You make sure you're not outside around this time so that they will not perch on you. So those are the things you can do to protect yourself as an individual. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, ma. So why is cerebral malaria one of the most feared complications?
Well, it is a life-threatening complication because one, it arises from untreated and severe malaria. It is called a life-threatening condition because you find out when someone is having cerebral malaria, the person is not behaving normally. It's affecting the brain, and anything affecting the brain affects the whole system because the brain is like the main major part of the body. It's like the major the main intellectual part of the body which controls both your activities, your muscles, your thinking, and everything. So when it is affected by malaria, you find out that most of the things you are doing will not be working very well. You'll not be behaving normal. You're just like a mad person out there. He or she doesn't behave very well. So when you have a cerebral malaria, you can talk irrationally, you can behave irrationally, you can do things you're not supposed to do. So it is not a complication you even want to talk about. It is not a complication anybody wants to wish our enemy to have. So it's something very, very pathetic to think about. So it's a very severe and life-threatening complication. So it's not something somebody wishes our enemy to have. Thank you.
All right, ma. Thank you so much for that, ma. So how can community education improve malaria outcomes?
Say that again.
How can community education improve malaria outcomes?
When you talk about community what?
Community.
How can
Okay,
they
now
educate?
let me explain to you so that you understand the question, ma. You know, individual, we have a way where we impart knowledge. Okay, telling our partner or our friends that okay, this thing is not good, or this is what you need to do. A means of educating people. The question now is, how can community education improve malaria outcomes?
It's in a very in so many different ways. So many different ways. Because when you talk about community, it's actually malaria cannot just happen in an individual houses. You cannot breed mosquitoes it has to be in a community. If a community comes together to have if there's someone to educate a community and the community imbibe that education, it will go a long way in protecting them from malaria and its consequences. So it has a positive effect on the community. So when you talk about malaria community education, something like teaching them how to keep their environment clean, how to ward off mosquito, how to remove stagnant water, how to clear bushes. And when they do all these things, you find out that they will reduce the quantity of mosquito in their community. And by so doing, they've actually done what? Reduced the incidence of malaria among the residents of those communities. So community education is a very, very good approach to reducing mosquito bites and malaria cases in endemic areas. Thank you.
Okay, I'll wait your response now. Is malaria elimination achievable?
Very, very achievable. Like I said, if we can tell ourselves the truth, most of the problem we are having is that our environments are dirty. And when we have rainy seasons, you find out that most of our gutters, we throw dirt inside our gutters and they are not flowing. They tend to become stagnant. So if we see a program, if we call it a point of duty, and make sure that all of our gutters, all of our gutters are very clean, our environment are clean, our children sleep under mosquito nets, our pregnant mothers sleep under mosquito net. There is no way we can have mosquito bites around us. Because you find out, even if you go for test as an individual, even me and you that are standing here now, if you go for test, we find out even if it is 1+ of malaria, it has become part of us. Because why? Our environment is constantly dirty. There's no way, if it doesn't bite you in your house, it can bite you when you went to go and visit your friend. Or if it doesn't bite you when you're visiting your friend, it can bite you when you want to go and stroll in the evening to go and buy something. you know. So
Even
mosquitoes are
even in
always
the
in our
office.
environment, even in the office. Yes, you know, yes, you know, understand what I'm saying. So it's not until we can think of how to keep our environment clean from mosquito, that is the only time we can ward off. But if we cannot, it is not achievable. But it is really achievable if we can keep our environment clean, making sure there is no mosquitoes breeding. Then it is achievable.
Okay, with this, I want to say this, that sometimes ago the government uh, have a program whereby they are distributing
Mosquito
mosquito
net.
nets free without charges.
Mm.
But there are some people who think that, okay, instead of them use sleeping under the mosquito net, the best thing for them is to use that mosquito net to breed their cocoa and tomatoes and the pepper. What advice do you have for people like this?
Well, my candid advice is that it is someone that is alive that will be able to take care of cocoa and all the rest of the plants you have in your house. I don't see the reason why your plants and your wealth should be the priority over your health. They say that health is wealth. So when you use your net, instead of it to use it and sleep, protect yourself from mosquito, you're using it to protect your own crops. You can also always buy a mosquito net. You can buy the untreated ones, but use the treated ones to protect yourself and buy untreated ones to take care of your crops. It doesn't cost much. At least I know as presently, mosquito nets cost like with uh, close to like 2,015 or thereabouts. You can get untreated mosquito nets, which average Nigerian can afford. So my candid advice is that please, we should sleep under mosquito net. And when the government give those mosquito net, especially pregnant mothers and children, they should sleep under it. It is not for sale. Even if you go to government hospital, they give it to you when you come for antenatal, they give it free of charge. I don't see the reason why when they give it to you free of charge, you now come and use it to be breeding your crops. You are harming yourself. You're not doing yourself any good. So please, pregnant mothers, children, even men should sleep under mosquito net because you are not superhuman. If mosquito bites you, you still come down with malaria. So everybody should sleep under mosquito net because we find out that we cannot always keep our environment clean. Because if you keep your own environment clean, your neighbor may not keep his own environment clean. So the mosquito from your own neighbor can come from his house to your own house and bite you. So instead of you allowing such a thing to happen, sleep under mosquito net so that you prevent and protect yourself from mosquito bites. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that beautiful advice, and I believe that people watching us right now,
We've learned
we've
a
learned
lot.
a lot of things, one or two things or the other. It is quite unfortunate that no one
Called in.
called in to win the free medication. We still extend it till tomorrow program. If you are watching us right now, it look as if maybe the network is somehow bad. We are extending that grace
So
to
tomorrow.
tomorrow. We are expecting your call. And to Nurse Nwoko, Ezinne, Mary Constant, we say thank you for uh, giving us, enlightening us about the malaria. I believe
Thank you so much, ma.
for those who are calling, I mean for those who called rather, that you want to learn more about this malaria. I believe we've tried our best to give it to you. And if you have further question, you can simply send your question to the number on your screen 0916 634 9956, or you put that your question at the in the comment section for our nurse to reply you, to give you the necessary response to your question. And Nurse Nwoko, thank you so
Thanks so
much for your
much,
time.
ma.
Thank you, Mr. Afolabi.
All right.
Thank you, Olamide.
Yes, thank you.
All right. See you tomorrow for another edition of our program at Corner. All right. To all our viewers, we say thank you for always being part of the program. Tomorrow is another day. Let's meet tomorrow to enjoy more about our health. Like Olamide said, when we commenced this program, he said, "Health is wealth."
Well,
Always make sure you eat balanced diet just for you to be Okay,
Stay hydrated, please.
that is that. Make sure you take more water. If if when you wake up in the morning, take more water.
Yes, it helps a lot.
It helps a lot. When you are hydrated, your body feel free, relax, and it will less you, or let me say, it will not allow most of the sickness even to enter or to have a place to reside, to stay in your body. All right. On this note, we are saying thank you for joining us. Tomorrow it's another day. We want to appreciate the Chief Executive Officer in person of Deacon Michael Adeboye Ashaolu, who is the founder of Ene Akmole Foundation, who sponsored this program that we need to talk about our health. Our health is
wealth.
our wealth. Make sure you prioritize your health. And many thanks
Please,
to
oh.
Balogun Abdul Samad for
Big
his
Balo.
time. And we appreciate all the esteemed staff right from the Afolabi Ayomikun and Chiamaka Obidike Modesta and Noluwapo Akonde, and to others we say thank you for your contribution. On this note, I'm signing out on today's edition of your program Earth Corner on Esteemed Radio Vision. Adenipekun Afolabi is my name. From me, I'm saying bye for
And
now.
I still remain myself, Olaamy Arubola. Please stay healthy. Make sure you stay hydrated. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Let the peace you planted guide you through the day. Food that fuels your spirit, rest that keeps you whole. Wellness isn't pressure, it's a gift.